Welcome to the October Green Line Extension Disadvantaged Business and Workforce Advisory Committee. I want to definitely welcome and thank our members and alternates attending today. In our virtual environment, I want to, provide a little bit of housekeeping reminders. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. If you are having technical issues, let us know in the chat and we'll try to resolve them. Please close other teleconference applications. And this meeting is being recorded by the Metropolitan Council. Meeting handouts and presentations are posted on the project website at SWLRT.org. With that, I will turn it over to my co-chair to do the roll call.
Thanks, Jonty. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all doing? Hopefully good. All right. So I'm just going to go down. As I call out your name, if you are here, please indicate so I can mark you down. Jim Alexander. Let's see. Okay. No one instead I'll do. I see everyone on the roster here. So Ashanti, I can mark down who's here. Let me know the 99 is Gilbert. So I've got that marked down. Rather than running through this list of 60 names, I can mark the 18.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Awesome. So we can, with that said, we'll just move on to the review of the last meeting. The September meeting minutes were included in the handouts for you guys to review. If there are any edits, please let us know now so that we can capture it, or you can email the edits to either myself or Ashanti. We've also included the summary of the subcommittee discussion for reference for those who are not able to attend. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on this afternoon. At last month's meeting, we did have some action items. Just wanted to check to see if there's any follow-up needed from those. I know Ashanti and I both unfortunately had to miss last month, so we're a little trying to play catch up as well.
I think there is something about Elaine sharing how to use MDHR's software or something like that. I think it's in the meeting minutes.
If you guys will hold on a minute, I'm supposed to do that now?
Oh, no, I think that was something that, MDHR will send over data packets for the census data and how to use their tools.
Okay.
So that's something that can be done.
It's actually on our website. I'll bring it up, and in a minute, I will show you where you can locate it, because we don't have data packets anymore. We have the census data throughout the United States on our website. There's a link. So I will bring that up in just a minute, if that's okay with everyone.
Sure. Okay. Elaine, would you prefer us to circle back then at some point later down the road to you? Or would you like us to, do you want to pull that up now?
I'm going there now, so just give me a minute.
Okay.
A second.
Sounds good.
Here we go. Okay, I'm going to share this. Okay, can you all see this?
Yes.
So if you go on our website and hover over the word certificates, scroll down to the workforce certificate and over to apply for a workforce certificate. Now I'm going to close this one because if you go down here, there's a tab here that says census. And we have it, you know, the Minnesota and the United States, and then Alabama through Montana and Nebraska, Wyoming, including Puerto Rico. And I'm going to bring this down because I'm going to pull up one of the census sheets, the Minnesota and the United States. So when you click on that census data button and select Minnesota and United States, this is what you will see. And here you can unselect and maybe like select just Duluth, and it'll bring up the census data. Or Minneapolis, St. Paul. Oops, I'm in the wrong one. You can click on the tab down here and go to the US Census data. So this would encompass the entire country, as you know, the census availability. And so that's what we use now and what we have our contractors use. Does anyone have any questions?
Elaine, I do. Is this grouped at all by either EEO job codes or the job categories that are listed, for example, on an EEO1 form that would be more applicable to our construction contractors? Or can you group it that way in somehow? Or can a user group it that way in somehow?
Well, so line 3 here, 001-043. These are the COC codes, the construct classification occupation codes. And then in the actual job title, in parentheses, you can see the SOC codes, which are the federal codes that are used. You can do a Control F and look for, say, for example, carpenters. And it will take you to that line. And so here are all the construction and extraction occupations. And you can scroll down and find the appropriate ones: construction laborers, drywall installers, electricians, glaziers. So it's not so much by the EEO job groups as it is by the job title. The job titles fall under different EEO job groups, as you know, Ashante.
Yes, thank you for that.
Does that make it clear?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that it could be applicable to the folks in this audience so that they know how to find that information that is relevant to them.
Yeah, the good thing about this this spreadsheet is that you can do a Control F and not have to scroll down, you know, hunting and pecking for looking for a particular job title. You can actually do Control F, type in the word, and sometimes it might take a little bit of maneuvering because some of the job titles, you know, you might not put in the S, making it a plural, like for example, painters. So that's the only thing. Other than that, it's quite easy to use. And here's the thing. For example, the office and clerical job titles under the EEO job categories generally fall in the 500s. Just like you know that sales is always in the 400s.
And Julie has a question. Thanks, Elaine. Is this data from the 2010 census?
It's the 2010 updated from 2014 to 2018. The EEOC just came out with 2000 slight updates from 2018 to 2022, and we're working on updating these spreadsheets to include the updated availability percentages. They're not huge. There's not a huge difference. Like we didn't go, say, advertising and promotions general from 56.5% to 70% overnight. So there's just slight adjustments, and Brienne is working on that. So we'll have that up probably by the end of the year. Any other questions?
I see a question from John. Asks, does it represent both union and non-union?
I don't recall that any census data says union carpenters versus non-union carpenters. It's just the availability of carpenters or operatives. Now, some job titles, like for example, operating engineer, those are skilled trades and those are union positions, but nothing in the census will say union operating engineers or union iron workers versus non-union.
Just to speak up, you know, supporting what Elaine is talking about, you guys, this is something, and I love the updated version of it, but keep in mind again, when the census is out, people can check the box, you know, whatever. And that's one thing we've questioned, and Elaine and I have had these conversations in the past. You know, if somebody says they're a painter, well, you know, so that question that John just posed is great because we don't know if they're a union painter or, you know, a non-union painter, you know, or where they are and stuff. So it's been quite interesting to see, you know, the information. And I think maybe moving forward, it's something that the government needs to look at, you know, because if we're going to be relying on this information, you know, to have it a little bit more fine-tuned would give us a little bit more accurate information. Thanks, Elaine.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I can find the button.
Thanks, Elaine. I do see one last note from John in here. Would the union halls and or DOLI provide details that would support metro area tradespeople who are between jobs? In other words, is it a payroll study?
You know, that's a really good question, John. We have been trying to get data from the unions and from DLI for some time on the registered trades, you know, the individuals in the registered trades, the unions, and we can't seem to get that information from them. They, on the one hand, claim that they don't track it. I'm not really sure why, but we have not been able to get that information as to how many are actually enrolled. The information on what companies are signatories is easy to find, but not on the individual. Ooh, maybe Rick can shed light on that. Thank you, Rick. Yes.
You are very welcome. Let me turn my here. You're very welcome. So no longer representing DLI in Apprenticeship Minnesota. However, just recently they had their Apprenticeship Advisory Board meeting last week. And for every one of those meetings, they provided gender ethnicity veteran report that provides a breakdown of the participants per craft. So bricklayers, operating engineers, electricians. So every registered apprenticeship program in the state is represented on that report, whether in every industry as well. And so you can get that report from them. They make it public, and it breaks it down by gender, ethnicity, and it's pretty comprehensive. So, and it's available. I would I'll throw my one of my old staff under the bus. He'll get it to you, Jeremy Parker. So you could email jeremy.parker@state.mn.us and ask him for a copy of the most recent gender and ethnicity veteran report, and he will send that right over. That will give you all the information on who's in a registered apprenticeship program by gender, ethnicity, and race.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome.
I want to be mindful of our agenda and our time together. So let's go ahead and any follow-up, questions, comments, inquiries, I think, feel free to send it to either Shanti or myself, and we'd be happy to pull in whomever would be applicable to have ongoing conversation. That's fantastic. I enjoyed that. But I do want to be mindful of everyone's time. So with that said, we'll move into the Green Line Extension Project update. So I believe that would be David.
Thank you. And I'll just note that normally our Director of Construction, Nick Dial, is with us, but he is absent today. I think we're all just doing some juggling on schedules. So today you just get me, and if there are any questions or comments directed at the project office, I'll be in a little bit more listener mode, but be able to get those back to Nick early next week and get any responses should there be any questions or comments. So just wanted to kind of run through our normal project update, just kind of a progress update. Things are looking great, and we were, as people know, I manage the public involvement team for the project office, so we're always trying to get folks more acquainted with the progress of the project. We concluded in September our last round of tours. We have a few tours here and there that we've been doing with specific groups, but by and large, we're kind of ready to hunker down for winter and we'll start those up again next spring, kind of giving people another chance to view progress out on the corridor. But wanted to just run through a few slides here of progress, any updates that we have, and Jason will just kind of cycle these out every few seconds here. Pretty brief, but wanted to just mention that at Southwest Station, I think I've mentioned this before, making good progress on the station itself and the adjacent areas where we're going to, a good milestone is turning over some of the space back to Southwest Transit, which is a good milestone, so that they'll be able to operate their bus system out of some of the space while we're still finishing up part of the garage and station area. At City West in Eden Prairie, great work coming along on the stations. It was a popular tour site that we had this fall, and part of that was we were able to showcase the progress that was made over the last couple of years on the tunnel under 62, which you can see very far off in the distance in the background on that slide. But really a cool site to be able to see a little bit of everything that's going on in that area. Moving on to Minnetonka, the Bren Road West is just one example of where we've noticed the public being able to interact with the project a little bit more. This is the case throughout the areas where the tracks cross roadways, and people are seeing these more advanced stages of completion of track and grade crossings. So it's really interesting to hear people's comments about like, wow, that looks like really it's coming along, which is very encouraging. Moving on to the Minnetonka Hopkins Bridge, just showcasing some of the hard work that's going on from crews out on this major structure. And we have been able to get folks, I believe, up on there for a couple of tours, which is people are really in awe of just the mass and scope of some of these bridges like MinHop. Excelsior, moving on to Hopkins. I wanted to just pause here for a second as hopefully by the time we meet next, the Excelsior Boulevard will be totally open to traffic. It's been certainly a big, long process to construct this bridge, but they are, I believe, pouring some of the final kind of closure pours for this structure coming up here, and they'll continue to be doing work on the bridge itself, but it's a big milestone to be able to get traffic back operating under the bridge. There will be, intermittent closures here and there probably over the next year, but it's really encouraging and certainly a big milestone from the community perspective to see the advancement of that bridge. Moving on to Blake Road, this site has, just one example of now that all of the stations are active, even seeing Blake kind of rise up from the ground is something that people can see from the public realm, right by some of the businesses around there. So it's pretty encouraging. Moving on just quickly to St. Louis Park. I think we've showcased in the past how active Louisiana Avenue is with all of the different structures and retaining walls. This is just a shot of the station that's being advanced, station work that's being advanced with the platform and structural steel that's been in place. That's going to be a site that continues to be active and also a popular destination for some of our community tours, because it just showcases all of the different work that's going on from structures to stations and eventually things like parking and other elements. Moving on into Minneapolis, the Secant wall construction, I believe, we're about 3/4 of the way complete with the wall next to the Cedar Isles condos. At least the installation of the piles for this of the wall for the Cedar Isles condos, and that work remains moving ahead adjacent to those structures. Certainly pushing ahead into late fall and winter with that work, and then of course in that area, eventually tunnel construction will also advance once that secant wall is in place. The tunnel itself is advancing to the north there, past Cedar Lake Parkway and up towards the Cedar Lake Channel, and you can see a couple progress shots of the different phases. We had a lot of positive feedback from both community members around that area, even as they even interact with crews in that area. It's a lot of positive response about the work that's advancing, which is very encouraging to hear. Just even the direct communications between crews and community members being positive. You'll see that we have some advanced, some complete or substantially complete segments of tunnel in that next shot. I think that's slide 13 or so, showing the different portals. And so we really like showing that even though this is a long process, this is a big structure to complete, and it's certainly endured some obstacles, that we are making progress there. Onto the Cedar Lake Channel itself, where there's a very interesting activity going on that involved the draining of part of a segment of the Cedar Lake Channel temporarily in order to work on a historic cobblestone wall structure there. That's part of our environmental mitigation, our environmental commitments. And so that work is ongoing, will be ongoing through the winter and into next spring, but it's a really unique situation that the public can see as they're kind of walking around in that area and over adjacent bridge structures. Popping up to moving up all the way to Glenwood, just seeing the progress on the Glenwood Avenue West bridge structure. Of course, this is one of 3 distinct bridge structures at the Glenwood site, the Glenwood Avenue West and East Roadway sections, as well as the LRT bridge that bisects them. Seeing a lot of big progress there, and of course, a lot of eyes on that as folks are curious when that area is going, that roadway is going to reopen to roadway traffic. But we've been able to get folks out there to see just how complicated that work is, and how it's really been busy every time that I've been down there and taken folks to that site. So people are really impressed by the different types of work that are going on there. One more shot there of, I believe, is my last slide for civil construction of the East Roadway, which is a little bit behind the West roadway structure, but certainly making progress, and we look forward to seeing that work continue as into next year, and seeing that work tie up for hopefully a reopening of the Glenwood Roadway Bridge next year. Always want to showcase some of the systems work that's going on, and we have some of the site excavation for the different traction power substation areas and signal house foundations, which is tangible, like field work that we can point to, which is really great as the systems contractor has transitioned, work has transitioned in certain areas from civil to systems. It's a point that we like to really accentuate, that this progress is being made from that transition. And I'll just note, even though it's not on here, that we have even just something as simple as a simple trail closure that's occurring right now as part of systems work. Yes, it's a little bit annoying for trail users, but it also shows that progress is being made. So in a way, we're actually happy to showcase that for community members as an example of the momentum that we're feeling from the transition from civil to systems. And then the last slide, I believe, is just more, that was more of the site excavation for one of the TPSS foundations, but that we continue to have delivery of some of the systems components to the warehouse facilities, which is also encouraging. And we look forward to seeing some of those components installed, coming into 2023. You will generally see a lot of communications from the project, talking as we move forward to the end of the year, talking about our wrap up of our calendar season and our construction season in 2022. And of course, a lot of planning from the project office perspective into 2023 of how we're going to both focus on the construction season itself, and then also, a little bit of starting to just talk about, very, very slyly, but not, just the the beginnings of talking about what to look forward to, you know, as we move toward ever so slightly to opening day, which is obviously a little far away, but we like to get people used to that thought that we're heading toward an opening day. So that's about all I have today. I will certainly either take some questions or at least be able to take down questions or comments that people have, and go from there.
All right, any questions for the project office? If not, we can move along to the DBE Achievement Report. Thanks, David.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Hey, everybody. Jon Tao here. Slide 22, please. So here is the listing of a table of the achievements for the 3 contracts. I have to say again that the Franklin O&M project is not closed yet. I believe we just received the final payment application for them. So that's going through the normal routing practices, and then I guess also all the final documentation that's needed before that final payment application is released and paid out. So yes.
John, will that include retention too then?
It should also indicate who still needs to get paid what. So that's usually what I see in it. And I usually call and contact the DBEs to verify how much they've been paid to date. And if they are missing anything, then I also communicate it back to the prime contractor.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm looking forward to getting that so that we can get some final numbers for the Ellis Black O&M project. And then also included in the handouts is the DBE progress reports for all 3 construction contracts. So you can use that as a reference to look at the numbers and the payments and achievements to date. I believe that's it for my presentation. Next slide. Yep.
Great. If you could go to the next slide, please. I didn't change my font and stuff, so I apologize for how it looks, you guys. Just a quick update on what we've been doing. There's been quite a bit of activity with our DBEs and such lately. One of the best ones, though, was this week. We did have, since it is Construction Inclusion Week, on Wednesday, it was all about DBE. They had different verbiage and all that other stuff. But the great part about it, we invited our DBE contractors in, well, not just contractors, but businesses in for an appreciation lunch. And it was interesting. There were quite a few that couldn't attend because of national conferences going on and their attendance, which was great to see and hear about. But the individuals that were able to attend were given an opportunity to really have some one-on-one relationship building time with our Lmjv team and also our Lunda team from the office. We had representatives from safety, from quality, from finance, from HR, from payroll, you name it, project management, project engineering, superintendents. So we had some really great roundtable discussions with our DBE contractors. Oh, we even had our legal entity there also. So that was nice. But the big part is there's been some really great meetings, and we'll continue forward with the assisting one-on-one with the DBEs. Mainly the big dog right now is regarding the delayed change order, you know, and stuff, because it's kind of all lumped together. And so to break it apart is really a different process for many. So working with them, also working with retention and stuff, like Barbara had asked earlier. There's some pieces going on that we're meeting one-on-one, and it's really cool to see how many of the Lmjv and first-year subcontractors are actually involved with working with the DBEs. So just to give you guys an update on that. The other thing too is what you guys hear about each month is I have a monthly subcontractor meeting, and I've taken it and really given it more value an added education to it on the DBE focus, but it's really cool to hear the non-DBE subs going, wow, this is great. I've never had this opportunity to get this education. But the focus has been, you know, regarding our continual support and growth with the DBEs, capabilities and stuff. So September, we had Nestor, our quality director for the program. We've had safety this last month. We just did culture of care training for our subs that were at the meeting. It was great. We gave them the challenge to do the culture of care pledge for their companies. And everybody that was in attendance had their companies take the culture of care and really have a great, again, in-depth conversation at that meeting. November and December are being changed around a little bit because of the days that they fall on and who's available to work on what. But what's really nice is one of those days of the upcoming will be the Rick Mardigan is going to be our guest for the day to present the Building Strong Communities program. And we will have also union representatives there just to talk in general about workforce and everything. So there's kind of our DBE participation at a glance, away from the dollar values and the work. It's what we're providing them throughout the project to help support them and mentor them along the way. If you want to go, if there's any questions, otherwise you can go to the next slide. And there's our information from Cody, and owls look so small. There's where we are at with the owner change orders approved through September 15th. Just barely over 219 million. DBE job to date participation still remains above 20%. We look at it going straight forward like that, 20.76%. The other cool thing, you guys, that I want to bring up, and I see Mike online, my partner over on the systems side, is knowing that the relationship the two of us have built between the two, you know, projects is to be able to share information with each other regarding potential DBE participation ads and stuff. So that's something I really look forward to continuing forward with Mike. If no questions, I do believe that is it for the civil contract. Thanks.
All right, Mike, I think you are up. Oh, I'm sorry,
Chris.
Chris. Apologies.
All right, that would be Mark Bell. Mark, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on here.
Okay, you want to go over it?
Sure.
Okay.
So this month, or over the last couple of weeks here, we're finally getting Louisiana Avenue. We have Gunner Electric doing some work there with their communications. We're continuing work here with, assuming we get some more material in, but some Blake Road work as well. And a lot of this is like station communication. Now to our substation side, see, we saw this slide earlier of SW301. We have paralleling activities happening similar to that picture for substation 302 and 304. Other work happening there as well as the actual erection of the foundation. So we have foundation work continuing, and then the steel work as well. And then we continue with public solutions for our weekly updates and community outreach. One update for our ads here is public solutions. We did receive a small change order to dewater a bunch of manholes in construction segment A. And we reached out with and are working with public solutions to complete that. From a procurement standpoint, supplier-wise, Carlo is close to completing the shipment of their poles, wide flange poles. We got a meeting later this week to solidify that, but that would be the final release here. And then Elite Fiber did make a site visit, walked through the segments, and their contract entails the fiber optic pole and terminations for the communication systems, and that walk was completed for segments 1 through 7.
Awesome. Any questions? Nope. Okay, so next up, bring back Elaine. Please give us an update on workforce participation.
Thank you, Tyler. Can we go to the next page, please? So during the month of August, Lmjv worked 71,922 hours. Since the start of the project, they've worked 2,333,516 hours. For the month of April, they came in at 9.29% for women, and they're at 8.35 overall. For POCI, they came in at 25.42, and they're at 23.74 overall. 0.94% of the hours were unspecified, and they, since the start of the project, they're at 0.73% for unspecified. Next slide, please. So here's the breakdown. There were 676 hours that were worked that were unspecified. White women accounted for 4,713 hours, or 6.9%. POCI women, 1,944 hours, or 2.7%. POCI men were 16,341 hours, or 22.7%. And white men were 48,249 hours, or 67%. And this was just for the month of August. Next slide, please. For the trucking hours that we're counting on the civil project, MBE has worked 28,822 hours since the start of the project. ZTS, 4,482 hours, and that's the same as last month. So they didn't have any hours in August. What was reported last month is what I mean. Rock On trucks, 2,960 hours. And that completes the civil portion. I think the signals APJV is next. You go to the next slide, please. So for the signal, system signal project, APJV worked 34 hours. It was very small work. And they came in at 47.06% for women and 47.06% for POCI. And those were not the same people. They're at 8.07 overall for women and 14.36 for POCI. Next slide, please. And here is the breakdown. So the POCI were 16 hours, as were the white women, 16 hours. That was the 46.1%. White men worked 2 hours. So that was the breakdown of the hours in August. And I believe that might be the last slide I have. So I will turn it over to, does anyone have any questions? I'm sorry, I should have asked. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. I will then turn it back to Christa to go over the Lmjv workforce activities.
Wonderful. Thanks, Tyler.
Yep.
All right, we took what was the last slide and I moved it up front because this is the one a lot of the people would really like to see to start with, I think. You know, because the question is always like, all right, where are you guys at with what's going on? So September, as you guys know, that's the start of our start to slow down on some of the areas. But what's really cool to see, if you take a look at our transfers coming, you know, from, you know, either Lenda, you know, CS McCrossum or whatever into the Lmjv, or the Lenda CS McCrossum working on the job site. 6 white male were transferred in and 4 POCI male. I think those numbers look great, especially in September. There are no rehires and no new hires because we are starting our planning and our overall picture of, the seasonal layoffs, which you can see down below. For seasonal layoffs, we had 3 in September, and they were 3 white male. So October, there's going to be a bigger number when I present to you guys, but next month it'll also be a presentation about the layoffs, but also the winter plan for some of those layoffs, which is really, really exciting to be able to present. Any questions about the numbers right there that you're seeing for September? If not, we could go to the next slide. Next slide, please. And there's you're going to see it. I'm going to be putting it everywhere. And that's what kicks this off is our workforce outreach development is gear up, grow, educate, advocate, and retain. This is something we are sharing not with just the Lmjv, but all of our trade partners, our subcontractors, our unions, our nonprofit community-based organizations and such. This is an exciting time for us and we are gearing up. So gear up is something you're going to hear between now and the remainder of the project, and then hopefully moving forward for others. So go to the next slide, please. And we can talk about gear up. So September was a very, very busy month for us for outreach activities and such. We always have our ongoing meetings, and for those that really haven't heard me before, when I talk about our ongoing meetings, these meetings are, I've never had such success in meetings as I have on this project. We have an internal Lmjv workforce meeting each month, and actually during busy time like right now, it's almost on a daily basis where I'm working with our workforce, field lead soups regarding our plan and what's going on. We are in the process of putting together our projection for now and the remainder of this year for me to be able to present, as well as our subs. We have meetings. I had meetings with the carpenters representatives to continue our formalization of our mentor program. This winter, all of our signatory carpenters, pile drivers, and such, not just us, but our subs that are at the journey level and up, are going to be going through a formal mentor training program through the carpenters that are going to be coming out to our project. It's in the process of being put together, but it's going to be pretty exciting. We have our weekly staff meetings. And at each weekly staff meeting, I have a segment where I give them the updates on where we're at with our DBE and workforce participation. But better yet, I get to talk to them about what's happened, but also what's coming up, and ask for involvement. It's been unbelievable to see the volunteers' hands coming up from both field and office of who wants to be involved in things. And one of the really cool things this week is that it's Construction Inclusion Week, and this morning was our staff meeting, and a big part of the focus for our staff meeting was around Construction Inclusion Week. And it was really great to see, and also to have the roundtable discussions happening that we did. We have bi-weekly Gears Up team meetings. So we have a team of contractors and subs, and we're expanding it to other trade partners to regarding the planning of activities, involvement, and what we can be doing. We did have a sub gears meeting to kick it off to the whole team this last month. We've been doing job site walkthroughs regarding our respectful workplace and culture of care training with our field. We've had meetings with the Department of Human Rights ongoing to review our efforts and participation. I can't thank them enough for their partnership, with helping us, rolling things off of them and seeing where we're at, and just that whole team meetings. We have our ongoing planning and talks with Building Strong Communities. Thank you, Rick. He came out to the office bright and early this morning. We had a great meeting. Really looking forward to seeing what we can do to continue to help grow and support the Building Strong Communities program, including the field apprentices that we have on our job site. That's super exciting to see their success and watch them grow. We had a workforce appreciation lunch and site visit this last month. Thank you very much to the 49ers and carpenters that provided lunch to our field. It was really fun seeing the various people coming from the field that could come to our office, but then we also had people bringing lunches out to the field where they didn't have that time, because 14 and a half miles of of rail, you don't have a lot of time during lunch. So a lot of the meals were delivered. It was really cool to see, our union participation with us. We had a meeting, that was at the beginning of the month of September, Rick. Wow. Meeting with Building Strong Communities and also the Minneapolis Building and Construction Trades Council Representative Dan McConnell, as well as Jenny Winkler. What a great meeting, you guys, about everybody coming together and what we can be doing, moving forward. So it's fun for them to get involved with Gear Up. Our subcontractor meetings each month, I already kind of stressed on it earlier on how important it is. These are roundtable. We start at the beginning and talk about our workforce numbers and projections and maybe some other things. But the great part about those meetings is the roundtable discussion and questions that take place during this meeting. Elaine will be involved moving forward for these. And if anybody else is ever interested, depending on, the topics and stuff, I'd love to have you join us. But they're getting, we have the agenda and I finally have them in person. And so it's more interactive. So it's really fun to see. We also had our contractors and community-based organizations connection lunch in September. We have some of the representatives that were at the luncheon on today, but I think it was a great piece. Our subcontractors were really excited about it and are excited about moving forward with building some of those relationships. We also had the in-person, as you guys know, last month, the DWAC meeting, which I think the in-person ones are so important and great. There's so much that comes out of it. I was very, very honored to be asked to be part of the Building Strong Communities Duluth programs mock interviews in September. Boy, if I could have hired all of them that I interviewed, I would have. The timing just isn't right, but some of them I will be communicating with throughout the winter. Great group that they have graduating this next Monday, I think, right? Yeah, Monday. And then also the relationship is growing with the Lake Street Works program. Jess, their lead, is just really dynamic. And again, it's a program, it's a high school program that I really look forward to our light rail program, our light rail project, and our team getting involved with. Any questions about this screen? If not, move forward, because there's other great things. As you guys all know, this week is Construction Inclusion Week. Wow, has our job site been busy? It's been so great. But I just wanted to show you guys, you all have it in your handouts. Here was what our agenda, just a quick glance, what it was. We kicked it off this week. I had an email that went out to everybody regarding the Culture of Care Pledge for the Lmjv. I am very excited to say that our Lmjv team right now, we are at 90% pledged. And my goal is by the end of tomorrow that we are 100% pledged on the culture of care. We've shared it with our subs and others also. It's something that's very important with our leadership team. Each day we've been doing toolbox talks. We've been doing table talks. Toolbox talks are field related. Table talks are more of the office, the project engineers, managers, safety, and all that. What they can be doing different in the office. These themes are just great. I talked to you guys already about Wednesday that it was Supplier Diversity Day with our DBE appreciation. Today is workplace culture. So our big deal with our staff meeting today was, again, going through that care piece. Tomorrow, though, I'm really excited, you guys, and if anybody's around or available around the lunchtime, I have Miss Norma Miller from the Twin Cities Urban League coming to our office tomorrow so that the Lmjv, our subcontractors, including Londa, will be able to give her the donations that we've been collecting all week. We are doing a winter wear drive with new hats, scarves, mittens, gloves, and socks. For the Twin Cities Urban League, and sometime in early November, we will have volunteers from the Light Rail Project over at the Urban League's parking lot, helping distribute to the neighborhood, to the community within. This is one of many upcoming community events that we are going to be participating in. and creating for the light rail project. So that's the week at a glance for you guys. Really fun stuff, but also great education pieces for everybody in the industry. Next slide, please, unless there's questions. Great. I purposely did not tell you what I did on Tuesday during Construction Inclusion Week because I have this great slide. Tuesday, the Lmjv, the light rail team, including our joint venture, including Wanda separate, CS McCrossin separate, and also the cement masons, we had a booth at St. Paul Chamber of Commerce's first Career Connection Day. It was an all-day event held at the River Center for St. Paul School District, as well as surrounding school districts within the area, like White Bear and Woodbury, South St. Paul, and such. They had over 2,500 high school students at this event. It was amazing. We talked about it this morning at our deal about how many came to our booth would be true pathway people right now. And what was really, really cool, even though the focus originally were for sophomores, I'd say about half the people that came to talk to us were seniors. And they were ready, and they are ready. So it's really cool to be able to have taken this list for Building Strong Communities and others to share. But what was really cool for me about the event is who came to our table, who participated to talk to the students. Because many of you guys know I'm Adam, I do it. But we had, as you can see, the girl in the middle with the who was taking the selfie with me in the background in the plaid, Ashley Polanco. She's one of our civil engineers. She's a college student from the Dominican Republic. This girl is awesome. We had Alex in the upper right corner. He's a construction manager that came, recently out of college. The way that I call him the quiet giant because he is so quiet at the job. For me, that day, he couldn't stop talking. I mean, it was just so dynamic. The guy in the big green shirt down below, his nickname is Tiny. He's always been Tiny his whole career, his nickname. He is one of the biggest advocates for talking to youth about the construction industry. He is getting ready. He's a pile driver getting ready to retire, and he wants to make sure that our future workforce is ready. I mean, he is so excited about it. So you guys, next year it's going to be the Twin Cities Career Connection Day over multiple days. It's going to be great. Look forward to it. John, it was really great. John O'Fallon, it was great seeing Ramsey County workforce there. Got to talk to a few people. So really, really fun. Construction Crews had their Minnesota Trades Academy, and such. And Rick and I have talked about it. We're going to be partnering on these things together moving forward. It is awesome, you guys. It's truly exciting to be a part of what we really can be doing for our schools. So any questions? Otherwise, let's go to the next slide, please. Here's a little bit more pieces about Construction Inclusion Week because it's taken so seriously by us. I showed you guys, I gave you our kickoff letter, as well as the posters that we have around the office that are and on the job sites, and such. I'm going to be updating them, taking off Construction Inclusion Week and putting on, the logo and making sure that this is just something we continue forward with. Next slide. Please. There's about our winter wear drive. Heck, if you guys have anything you want to drop off before noon tomorrow, please do. I'll have hot cocoa. And next slide. That's it. Unless anybody has any questions for now, I thank everybody.
Thanks, Christa. If there are no questions, we will then move along to Mike with Apjv workforce activities.
All right. Thank you. Wow. So like we said, we had 34 hours in August from Gunner Electric. And then in September, I think we got up to 320 hours in September. But October 1 is really when we started weekending, October 1. when we started work on the traction power substation. So we're really starting to see a little bit of numbers, doing some earthwork in October and probably through mid-November, and then probably be down for winter for the most part. So you'll see hours starting to increase, but still not much, not anything, to get it to jump about and all that kind of good stuff. But it is nice to see that we're moving forward. So you'll see some, Moltron was out there under Meyer and Bald Eagle, a little bit of trucking. Gunner's doing a little bit, and Premier's doing a little bit, and Aldrich, started their first cruise for the week of 10/1. So that's exciting, and hopefully that can continue. So we're really looking to, we're working with our subs to get the schedule. I promised Minnesota Department of Human Rights updated schedules and projections of, what, number of people we're going to need, number of new hires we're going to need, when we're going to peak out, what crew size is on, when subs are coming, expected to jump on the project, because everyone's going to have various start dates. So we're trying to figure that out through the remainder of the project and see how the workforce is going to develop and opportunities for new hiring and hiring opportunities, and see what their needs are going to be. Currently, it's just the work has been so limited, there hasn't really been any new hiring for these jobs. They're doing it with the current existing staffs, but it's happening. So we in September we had the CBO outreach event hosted by Lmjv, and that was a good couple hours to meet some of the subs and just talk to them and see what's going on. Really introductions and continue on. Back in last week, we had our day of training up at Summit Academy, and that was really a terrific event. And I'll have slides next month. But if you go to the Summit Academy website, you'll see them posted all over their website too as well. But basically, we brought up our utility training trailer that we take around the country, and we had a day of training. The 40 students in the cohort. We had IIF training, which is incident and injury-free policy that we've been, preaching for the last 7 years and really trying to get better at it. And then so we're just teaching those ideas, how to work safely, not only just at the job site, but are we taking it outside the job site as well, and just raising our consciousness about safety. So we have met with those, and then we had the training trailers, all the utility underground. That was really interesting. Lots of videos, expert trainers, and then in the other session we had representatives, Derek Atkins from 292 and the JATC, and Christa from Local 160, and subcontractors present their experiences in the electrical trades to this group, and it was really a positive day at Summit Academy, and we look forward to continue that and continue outreach and site visits and all that kind of good stuff. So we look forward to get going. That's really all I have today. If there's not any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Anyone have any questions on that stuff? All right. Moving right along. Next up is the Lmjv workforce plan. Attached in the handouts is the Lmjv civil workforce plan that Christa had mentioned and committed to sharing at the last meeting. And Christa will be walking us through that plan.
Hi, everyone. Here, let me see. I think I should share. Oh, how do I share in this one? Here we go. Share. See, I'm not used to being in this format.
There's a share button at the bottom of the screen.
Thanks, Elaine. I just saw it too. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Let me see. Adobe Acrobat. 2 documents open. Workforce development plan. I picked the right one, you guys. Nice. Can everybody see the start of it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great. I'm like, nobody's answering. No. Now I lost it on my own screen though, but that's all right. Oh, excuse me, you guys. See, share. I have a different screen up now myself. All right, well, I'm just going to start from the top, and I won't be...
We've lost it on our side as
Yeah,
well,
we can't see it.
Krista.
Okay, sorry, you guys. Let's go on there again. I got to quit hitting buttons here. I'm sorry. All right, workforce participation. Let's close that bad boy down. That one. I apologize for my lack of, here it is. All right, here we go. Now you can see it again, can't you? All right. So,
Yes, we can.
okay, thank you. I was waiting. I'm like, nobody's, sorry about that, you guys. So I'm going to just reiterate what I've talked about in previous DWAC meetings and stuff when it comes to the Lmjv Workforce Development Plan. It is a document that is ever changing and growing. We are now on my 5th revision of this document. And actually now I've made a commitment to the Department of Human Rights that each month this will be updated and shared with them. So it's pretty cool. So just to start, for the core piece, what started it all out, who was a part of the Lmjv, the Light Rail Civil Workforce Development Team? Of course, bottom line, it's the joint venture, it's our subcontractors, it's the Met Council and the Department of Human Rights as our quote-unquote captains, as I like to say. And not captains of a ship, but anyways, it's our unions. It's our Building Strong Communities partner that we've had since the start of the project. It's also our community-based nonprofit organizations, and it's educational institutions, as well as the community around us. We're a team. That's how we look at our workforce development team for the project. The mission for this and our goal for this, and here you go, you get to see the gear up again. Grow, educate, advocate, and retain. And I cannot say retain enough, you guys. Some have heard me, give the presentations about retaining and how important it is. So anyways, the joint venture team representing the light rail contractors' mission is to strive to meet/exceed the workforce participation goals of 32% minority, 20% female for the project. We will actively work with our industry team members to make sure we are covering all areas of good faith efforts to grow, educate, advocate, and retain our workforce, both on the Southwest Light Rail project, but also in the construction industry overall. We are dedicated to helping our trade partners educate and advocate in the surrounding communities and in our state about the career opportunities in the construction trades. Our team is committed to working together to retain those new individuals coming onto our project, and will strive to continue to grow the respectful workplace and culture of care environment across the project, both in the field and in our offices. These are efforts that are ever changing and growing, so this document is a continually changing part of this project. The actions that we are taking place on this, hold on, I will scroll down so everybody can continue to see. And I go into groups here, you guys, to kind of keep things, so you can see the different things that we are doing with the Department of Human Rights and with the Met Council. We meet with the compliance specialists, and everybody can read this, so I might not read it exactly word for word, but I meet, and some others meet with our compliance specialist, Elaine, every month prior to the DWAC meeting at some point to review workforce participation and address potential concerns or ideas that are brought to the table. These meetings lately, and it's been really nice, have been occurring at minimum of 3 to 4 times a month sometimes during these busy times. The resources with Elaine, with Brianne, and now coming forward with Tyler and stuff are really very, very important to us. Our monthly good faith effort review meeting with you guys that we have each month, the agenda that includes overall good faith effort that takes place the previous month, as well as specific review of certain contractors. And we do that every single month and have since the start of the project. We work with the Department of Human Rights on subcontractor workforce participation efforts. I meet regularly with Elaine and others, as well as moving forward, the Department of Human Rights attend the monthly subcontractor meetings. And then the other piece with the Department of Human Rights and Met Council is, is our delivery of our workforce activity updates at these meetings. So there's Human Rights and Met Council. In our plan regarding our internal team and our project projected efforts, I work with our project team, including our field operations managers, to determine our workforce needs for strategic outreach efforts. It includes meeting on a monthly basis, and as you guys have heard, more frequently during the busy times to review our enter and exit needs for the project. It's during the busy time that we do have to meet more often, because to project out is very hard because of delays and scheduling and stuff like that can really change. So that's why it's so great to have that relationship with our project team field members. The Lmjv mentor program that you guys have heard about, that's an internal piece. It's an initial grassroots program that we rolled out the first quarter of 2022 when we were bringing on brand new apprentices. So far, the field team doing great as mentors and mentees, and the program is moving forward to a more formalized part of the project, and we are in the process of working with our unions regarding this. And one of the examples is our work with the carpenters for train the mentor sessions during this upcoming winter months. We're also in communications with the laborers. They have a 2-year program where it's superintendent type mentor training, and you have to have a mentor with them. Really some cool things coming up, you guys. We also coordinate and deliver the annual project-wide crew affirmative action and EEO presentations. We had leadership training, this last kickoff to the year, and superintendent training also. But the great thing is, it's the ongoing field AA and respect, affirmative action and respectful workplace training. And I shouldn't say field, it's field and office, it's the whole team. We've incorporated this training into our toolbox talks and our table talks. The goal is twice a month, and it is taking place already. So it's great to see, and I'm getting feedback from individuals in the field of how much they appreciate it and like it. So that's for the internal Lmjv team. Subcontractor participation and monitoring. I should add that participation piece. We have our monthly workforce meetings that you guys have heard about. These meetings, since we've moved them to in-person, are so valuable, not just for us, the Lmjv, overseeing them, but also for our subcontractors. It is incredible. The meetings, we review the current participation for each of them and their projected upcoming schedule. We provide outreach effort opportunities for them in the industry, the community, and right on the project. And we provide education that will assist in their relationships and growth during the project. We continue to work with the subs and the Department of Human Rights on their workforce participation plans and actions when needed. We assist the subs with low workforce participation with resources on how they can achieve stronger good faith efforts. A lot of these subcontractors have not had that one-on-one training or assistance on what does that truly look like, and that is what we are providing them on this project. We're currently working on a project workforce report that I would like to have done and ready at the end of the year that will provide the initial workforce projections, project to date participation, remaining workforce projection, and completion dates. And for those that have finished, which there are quite a few, the contractors' completion participation information. We're going to be having stuff that they are required to give us at the end of their participation. We will be asking that all subs, including second tier, to complete the project workforce info so that we can compile the schedules and projections and be able to more accurately monitor participation for the remainder of the project. There's our sub piece. Then I go on to our bit regarding respectful workplace and culture of care project site visits. We will be doing it at least 6 times a year. I actually try to get out each month. It's killing me now though with some issues, but we're getting out there. I have a great cohort. Larry, our safety director, safety and security, is just awesome about bringing me out there to the sites. We review the poster boards to make sure they are up to date. I need to do some updating on my next visit out there. I have some new things to add to the boards, and to work with the Department of Human Rights as a team regarding upcoming, when it comes time again for EEO site visits and follow up when needed. And then if you go to the final page, I do believe it's the final page, gear up team activities. So this is the project as a whole, including the systems. And I forgot to put that on there, Mike, and I apologize because I think the partnership is just great. Gear up team activities. You guys have heard about the Rosies of the Rail education series. Well, we're going to be doing a Rosies of the Rail roundtable pieces, kicking off in January, so that we do it the right way and not the quick way. It'll be for the Lmjv subs and other team members. It's not just field, it's office. It's not just this project, it's within their companies are going to be invited to come to these roundtable end of day sessions. This and I do need to update this because they are going to be roundtable with expert moderators instead of expert speakers. The experts that we're going to have speak are those actual individuals next to you. It's, hey, here's a situation. How did you overcome it? So actually construction related experiences and stuff. Our first topic that we're going to be kicking off in January is, I think, one of the most important ones, and that is your work home life balance. It's a conversation that we've had internally with the Lmjv team of Rosies, and it is something that I find very, very important for the success of growing those workforce numbers on the female side and all. So there's that piece. We have our continued partnership with the Building Strong Communities program. Consists of many different avenues, including presentations, tours, mock interviews, talk with the trades. That event last year was so fun. And recruiting for new class participants, as well as assisting Building Strong with connecting their participants with potential job opportunities within our contractors on the light rail and the contractors, light rail, but then there are other projects also. You guys have heard me talk about the Rock and the Rails. It's really starting to spark and take forward. There will be a big event in the spring, so watch for more information on that. And I'm hoping to continue that one forward. Participation in Dunwoody's annual construction conference is another one that's out there. The Women in Construction Week is huge. Apprenticeship Week, which is only 1 month away, coming up. We've got some great things in the works with Rick and the team at Building Strong. Project volunteers and stuff within Construct Tomorrow and other events like the one that was this week, as well as just overall project outreach and education events with the local schools, scouts, and summer youth programs, you guys. The cool thing I took away from Tuesday was the reconnection I was able to do with many of the schools, such as Humboldt High School, Gap, Highland Park, White Bear Lake. I can't wait to get over to the Minneapolis schools. And my really cool thing about it was an individual came up to me and I said, hey, what school are you with? And the gentleman representing, he goes, well, I'm not at one of the schools here, but I'm with the city of Minneapolis, with the Minneapolis School District. And he caught wind of it and he came to check it out. And we are going to be meeting, I think it's 2 weeks from now, to see what the light rail project can do. Just doing presentations and stuff within the city of Minneapolis. It'll be great. I talked to you guys earlier about the Lake Street Works project. That's another great within the city event program that we're going to be directly working with high school students and stuff like that. There's so many things not on here but there I go into additional outreach participation, speaking with classes regarding the workforce opportunities. Also, the fun facts of the light rail. That presentation we have, you guys, wow, really gets all ages going. Mock interviews are so important. Advisory committees, tours, the list goes on. But like I said, this is our active, workforce development plan. There are bits and pieces of it that have fine tuning, that have their own documents, that we are creating and growing. But in a picture, this bottom line is truly what we're doing. And like I said, the important part of the success of this, development plan is the team, is what we can do as a team to work together on this project. Of course, there's only a couple of years left, but what we can do to create that footprint and success moving forward for the industry in general. Any questions?
Sound like it. Thanks, Christa.
Thank you all. I really appreciate the time.
So moving on, provide you all kind of a update on the subcommittee meeting that we had. Ashanti, do you want to kick us off with sharing your thoughts on what we walked away from that meeting with?
Sure. First, definitely want to thank those who took the time to participate in the subcommittee. We had some really good discussions, some really good information. I think we really want to use that as an opportunity to be more strategic and utilize the resources and brain power of the experts that are part of this committee. And I think we got off to a good start. Definitely one of the things in terms of the council, we are hoping to really get from this is really what can we do as the council and the owner of this project to keep us moving forward and in the right direction. So that's for us our main goal through this work. I know also there was good discussion about some of the things that we wanted to hear and folks get feedback, from our contractors in terms of, where their pain points are, what barriers they face. And the one thing that I mentioned, and I don't know if we have a representative from MnDOT on here today, but I was saying I could hear Dale's voice saying, "Hey, Ashanti, didn't MnDOT do this work?" And don't we have that? So yes, I think that's a good point, and we should be able to access that work that MnDOT did and bring it and incorporate it into whatever we do. I also I think that we want to be clear that the subcommittee is not trying to create a new work plan or impose a new work plan. I think, again, it's more about what can we do? How can we keep us moving in the right direction? And also, how can we improve on what we're doing? And is there anything from any of those work plans that were submitted that we can utilize either from the Great Minds and or some of the other work plans that were submitted that we can move forward? But again, appreciate the conversation and opportunity to really be more strategic about how we move forward.
Yeah, thanks, Ashanti. Appreciate your insight. And I agree with everything that you brought up. Those were all great points. It was a great discussion. I want to reiterate Ashanti's gratitude for everyone that was able to participate. I know there are a few that wanted to be there that weren't able to make it. So hopefully at the next go around, we can find times that will that'll be suited for folks. I think the one thing that I would add in addition to what Ashanti had mentioned is we really hope that what we can kind of set in motion and establish isn't necessarily specific to Southwest Light Rail to this exact. I think there are things that we can take away from what we learn that could maybe be, added in there to make a difference with the work that is left, which is still a substantial amount of work to be done. But really, what I heard from folks on that committee and others that were there, please feel free to step in as well, was that we're really looking to identify, just from an industry standpoint, like where are some consistent, pain points and bottlenecks that folks are seeing that certainly are presenting themselves and rearing its head as it pertains to Southwest LRT, but moreover for, that have been there for a while and that we foresee, if nothing's done about it, this is going to keep popping up. So, workforce availability was certainly one thing that got brought up in the workforce shortage. I know that this group in particular has in the past discussed about involvement in processes involving union halls and contractors and what does that look like and how could that make an impact, pipeline discussions. So all good things. I think the key takeaway that I walked away with is, if we can look at things and come up with plans to make decisions that would better impact the remainder of what's left for this project, then that's phenomenal. But really, it's long down the road, future sight mindset of how do we make decisions now that will impact and reverberate throughout the many more years and projects to come. But it was great. We look forward to the next. One thing that had come up is how do we go about scheduling the next one? I think my thought would be, for those that were on that original list, we could send out maybe just right away kind of a doodle poll just for people to fill out of indicating what days of the week maybe work better. If there are people that have recurring days that are just no good, that would be useful to know. And then once we kind of figure out, okay, these certain days of the week work better for the majority, we can then figure out how far out do we want to look to. That would be good for folks to get that on the calendar without too many conflicts popping up. So I think that would be probably what to look for next in terms of scheduling that next meeting. Does anyone else that was maybe on that call have anything that they would like to add?
Tyler, this is Julie Brecky. It was a good conversation, and I think one of the things we also tried to really emphasize is that we can talk about this a long time, but what are our action steps? And I think that's maybe why some of the equity plans have been shared before about what was really impactful when we take a look at some of those bottlenecks and labor shortage projections that we talked about 3 years ago that we didn't get around to, but that we can still do today because we know that it's not just this project, but other projects. So kind of that tension between this project and just the field in general is something we discussed, but that we really can move to action. And if we just start someplace, it will be better than just continuing to admire the challenge.
Thank you, Julie. Agree 100%. That certainly was something that came up, and I think it almost feels like, and again, I'm relatively still new to the scene, and from an outside perspective, what it kind of feels like is that these issues have obviously existed for a while, and there are a lot of people, both on this call and that were present at the subcommittee, that have just as much experience and expertise and knowledge as you could possibly hope to convene in one spot. And what it sometimes feels like is everyone kind of like standing around looking at each other, waiting for someone to lay down the first card or make the first move, where I think and that's where we get caught in that holding pattern of everyone recognizes the elephant in the room. everyone can call out and list out, you know, if you were asked individually, what are the major issues? I would venture a guess that the results and the answers that each person independently would give would probably, for the most part, I would venture that there are a lot of similarities from person to person, trade to trade. So with that said, you know, kind of to Julie's point, it's okay. So if we're sitting here with a known issue and a known problem, and the people that are in a positions of ability to implement and actually make changes come to fruition, why are we not? You know, and I think whatever needs to be done to get over that hump of reservation is what kind of I'm hoping to establish with this subcommittee of let's just not be a group of talkers. Let's actually come up with, you know, all of us in our independent positions, what can we do to actually put words to action to make real change? And let's do that rather than, you know, continuing to sit around and point at the elephant, if that makes sense. So does anyone that maybe was not a part of that discussion have any questions for those of us that were?
Tyler, John has his hand
Oh,
up.
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to add my 2 cents with this. I really appreciated being part of that discussion. I hope it leads beyond the Southwest Light Rail. I'd love to stay on board with that subcommittee if that goes that way, because I think it really is important for us to look at this with the future of all projects, and with Tyler and Met Council, Shante and everything together, that I think there's an opportunity to do that. One thing that I think we want to also address, and everybody's heard me say this, is I would love to see the larger, 8+ subcontractors immerse themselves more into this type of work, besides just the 2 generals, with Christa taking the lead on this, to really immerse them into these conversations and these meetings at different times. We brought up at the meeting how the unions have come across 3 times to present and talk about best practices and what are they up to, but we really haven't had those discussions with the top 8, if you count London, McCross, and not as part of the top 8. So it'd be the top 10 if you did that, but just to really immerse them more into these discussions, I think it would help our overall construction community and how we build careers in that community, to have them be aware and be at the table. So I really do hope that you guys look into that for the Southwest. I hope that if this subcommittee goes further and we decide to do things past the Southwest Light Rail, that we'll also see some of that important piece to just bring more contractors to the table instead of just the unions to the table and the top contractor.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love to see you continue to participate on the subcommittee. So if that's something that you want to stay on, then by all means, please do.
Dan, go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I apologize for not being able to participate very well in this meeting, and also apologize I was out of town and unable to attend the subcommittee meeting. But I do disagree with everything that was just said. And one of the things that I kind of, in my reflection on this work, is it needs to stop being an ad hoc, reinvent the wheel, whatever terminology you want to use for each project. It needs to be an ongoing effort. So I'm on board with trying to figure out a process that can outlive a project. Keep, having the circular conversation. So looking forward to the next meeting, and hopefully we find a time that works for everyone to come.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. And I know, speaking for Tyler and MDHR, I know that they are definitely committed to that. And Met Council definitely wants to be a leader in that space, and feels the responsibility to be a leader in this space. So that's the plan. And we really want to, as Julie mentioned, be impactful. come away with some actions, and as I said, move the industry and move this initiative forward and forward thinking beyond just the Green Line extension. Any other comments or anyone else want to share? Tyler?
I do.
Go ahead.
Hang on, sorry you guys, I was clicking the wrong button again. It's Christa. Just real quick, I really appreciate everything you guys did, within that subcommittee and stuff. And I did have a chance to read through the minutes. So and doing that, I know, and I knew how important it was that day, but I had two things that I could not, cancel. And I know Dan couldn't be there, and he was a key driver of starting, having, the review and stuff. So I really want to stress how important it is to make sure that we are represented at the committee at the subcommittee meeting and those others. So thank you, Tyler, about talking about the scheduling of it. Because like I said, reading those meeting minutes, I'm glad I listened to today moving forward, because the meeting minutes, there were a lot of inaccuracies. I can't wait to help bring you guys into the actual outreach efforts taking place, on this project. And for Dan, what he stated about recreating the wheel, we've talked, and Rick is online, or was online too. He can say it, also, both of them representing the unions and me representing the contractors. We've had conversations with and great relationships with unions for so many years about things. And then, to recreate the wheel, no, we need to take a look at what we have and what we have started here, and continue to grow it. That's my goal on this project for our team. And you guys have heard me say it, to create that footprint, or to take an existing footprint to continue to grow it and move it forward, you guys, because we have some great opportunities that are already here. We need to take a look at those disparity things, the things that are causing the hiccups, whether it be in recruitment or with the retention piece, and we need to grow those pieces of it, So thank you guys very much for the subcommittee. But again, please be careful moving forward. Let's make sure we have everybody at the table. I think it's so important that we're doing this, and I really appreciate it.
Anybody else before we move on? I want to provide opportunity for those who either were there or were not there to get their questions in and get whatever information would be important. So. All right. But kind of related to that, as this construction season is going to be wrapping up, we do have the opportunity to plan for the 2023 construction season, and more specifically, how this committee and the subcommittee has the opportunity to work towards the next season. I know Tyler and myself have been talking about how we want to see this committee take shape or reshape in terms of how we operate, really focusing in on not dismissing the reporting, because that's important to provide some level of transparency and accountability, but really less focus on the report out kinds of things, and be more strategic in how we operate and move forward. And then also with winter coming, again, considering how we operated last winter, and want to revisit the schedule of how we meet and how we operate during the winter months as well, and bring that to this committee for consideration, discussion with that. Tyler, Would you want to add anything, please?
Yeah, I think the discussion that Ashanti and I have had is that we feel like the original, like what is kind of going back to the basics of what are we hoping to see this committee specifically? What role do we want to see? Where are we at? Where would we like it to be? And what do we need to kind of get there? And I think one thing that stood out was, and again, kind of going back to, we have so much experience and knowledge sitting at the table here, and we're spending a majority of time. I'll just be honest. It feels like we spend a lot of time going over things that could have otherwise just been sent out to all of us and reviewed. And if there are any questions, we could certainly use this platform to say, like, hey, can so-and-so explain, this metric or this number. But, with that said, I think that there are ways that we can pare down the time that is invested into that kind of front end part of how we have been operating, and with the goal and intent being to get back to what is it that we were trying to achieve in the first place. And that's, sharing of resources, communicating, pulling in outside partners as well, and encouraging and asking people to join, so that if they have questions about, a little bit about what the subcommittee is after too. And hey, what are your barriers that you're running into, and then utilize this group and this space as kind of a knowledge sharing, resource sharing platform to allow people to expand their network and resources, try to overcome the issues that they're facing, when this meeting adjourns and they go back into the real world here. So with that said, we had thought about having a lot of the data report out be sent out ahead of time, and maybe looking to, I don't know if it's necessarily eliminate completely, but very much kind of pare down in the amount of time that we're investing in going over that stuff, to allow more time for conversation and problem solving. Because again, much like the subcommittee, I also feel like this committee itself is also in a position that everyone on here is then in a seat where if we decide that there are, project related, rippling and industry related things, and we want to implement some new standards or some new methods or new tactics, let's do that. And then, we have our kind of marching orders and homework to do, and let's stop talking about it. Let's make some decisions and try to make a change and impact, not only this project, but moving forward as well. So
Thanks, Tyler. So I kind of alluded to this, but again, for the winter, we want to propose to meet every other month during the winter season, and restart with regular monthly meetings in May of 23. So that would mean we would meet November, January, March, and begin monthly back in May, skipping December, February, April. And again, we would still provide the reports and information to committee members. So each month, every month, but actually meet during those months every other month. We can also get updates from the subcommittee as well during that process, so that we include that work as well. And then we also want to consider when Christa is going to welcome us back again to meet in person.
I have something to say about that. You guys are welcome every single month, every single week, every single day to come see me and check out what we're doing. But you guys truly, so we're going to go every other month for the winter. But this is an advisory committee And yeah, it's during our, the summertime is the busy time, but you guys, and I think John O'Fallon will really agree with this one. During the winter time is our time to really be, when it comes to these programs and stuff, to really be supporting them, growing them, taking what we should be doing on the project and really putting the nuts and bolts for it together. So I would like to ask the committee, since I am a guest, coming, is that starting in January, I truly think we should continue it every single month. I think it's very important to say that, hey, here's all this stuff that you guys have all talked about in the subcommittee and the importance and stuff, but yet, heck, we don't need to meet about it. There's a lot we have coming up and going on between the systems contract and the civil contract, building strong communities, construct tomorrow, the unions. Everybody has so much. There's union training going on. There's our mentorship. I would like to ask that we continue moving forward monthly from January on, and the only reason why I say December, oh, come on, you guys, happy holidays, or something. But that's my ask. And then with Ashante, I love that you asked me about in person. I love having you guys come to our office. And moving forward, there are going to be some really cool things to be able to show you guys. So heck, whenever you guys want to have the next person, in-person meeting, we have the location. So thanks for listening, you guys.
Thanks, Christa. And I just want to say you're definitely more than a guest. You're a committee member. And as we all are. And again, this is proposing this. So it's nothing has been decided upon. So we definitely wanted to hear from the members of this committee as how we should move forward. And just so I'm clear as what you were saying, you were just saying take a break for the December meeting and start monthly in January. That was your suggestion, Christa? Just so I'm clear.
Yeah, I think it would be great.
Christa, this is Julie Brecky. I could put this in the chat, but wanted to just share. I don't disagree with your sentiments. Like the idea of taking a break in December and starting in January, but what that would, we've talked about two major initiatives. One, recasting the structure of this meeting to be more, having basically a consent agenda and some more strategic conversations. That's going to be taking some planning to pull off. And so
Julie, I can't hear you. We can't, you're fading out.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Elaine. Hi, can you hear me now? Ooh.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you?
Yes, thank
I can.
you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I can hear
All
you
right.
before and now.
All right, thanks. So what I was saying is I agree with Christa. Taking a break in December and starting in January sounds like a good idea, particularly because we've got a new subcommittee that needs structure. And it might be, well, I have some ideas about how to even put that together so we move to action. Keep it simple to begin with and just dig in. But then also this committee, we've talked about a pretty big restructure of how these are run. So potentially a consent agenda and coming up with strategic questions about how we need to be working on this project, but then also with that subcommittee looking at how that becomes, it's more of a blueprint for going forward while embracing everything Christa was saying and acknowledging that there's more work that needs to be done on that. So I would vote for that.
Any other feedback or questions, comments? Everyone's pretty shy today.
It's Barb. If I were going to comment on anything, I would, if we're going to restructure everything, I would go and make the suggestion that I think there could be two initiatives, one that works with business and one that works with workforce, or that they split up 1 hour for one and 1 hour for the other, or something to that effect. They may go hand in hand. Everybody has a sitting agenda on here. I know for me personally, when we are focused a lot on workforce issues and what we're going to do about creating an inclusive workforce, that literally does not pertain to my job. And for me to continually be putting that much energy into something that really isn't pertinent to what I do and what AWC represents in our mission doesn't make sense for me. And I think that that's kind of where the focus of this committee has been for quite some time. The DBE is a brief portion of it. And so for me, it's just structurally, it doesn't make sense for this to be all in one. That's always been kind of a problem with back in the days of the MnDOT work for, or a DBA collaborative as well. It just, when you start combining them all the time, you get lost. And in the old days on the CCLRT oversight committee, there was a complete separation between the two. So, and they flip-flopped. Workforce in the beginning of the meeting for one, DBE in the beginning of the meeting for the other. That way, if people needed to leave and it didn't pertain to them, they could. But from a timing standpoint, for me, it's tough.
Appreciate that feedback.
So I think that at this point, Ashanti, maybe I think we, this was something that we want to just throw out there at this point for people to see if there was kind of a general consensus on that. It sounds like there's some mixed thoughts, which I absolutely appreciate. I think we need to maybe reconvene, Ashanti, John, whoever else, maybe chat a little bit, and then we can kind of come up with a plan that makes sense. Because I think that everyone brings up good points. I think, for sake of usage of time, Barb brings up an excellent point. For sake of, rather than sit back during the lull, is this a time that we have time on our side to start having space for some serious discussions about changes in implementation to have in place in the time that things ramp up again, to Christa's points. And then also, though, to Julie's, there are a lot of changes, and it's easier said than done to just kind of like flip a switch and all of a sudden implement a bunch of change. So I think for now, I appreciate everyone's input. I think that Ashanti, maybe you, John, and I reconvene and have a little chat about, taking in what everyone has shared and what makes the most sense. See if we can come up with middle ground that works for everybody.
And just so that we're clear, we kind of have kind of two options, or two proposed options, and those are the only ones I've heard. One, we take a break in December. We utilize that time for planning and how we want to both proceed with the subcommittee and how we want to restructure the larger committee and be more strategic about that, but continue monthly. And the other proposal is meeting every other month. I think at least we have agreement that those are kind of the two options. And I'm not forgetting about your recommendation, Barb, but I'm just talking about just in terms of meeting scheduling and how that portion moves forward. So I think there's agreement on those are the kind of two proposed options, and we can maybe get that's what we'll be taking back and moving forward with. Unless we can get consensus today on how we want to move forward.
Doesn't sound like it, and that's okay. But I don't think we're gonna get there with 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So actually, I think we should move forward just in terms of announcements and information. I definitely have a couple that I want to share. So
could I make a quick suggestion, Ashanti?
sure.
With the couple proposals you're trying to figure out, and we are looking at timing and we're looking at, people's schedules, etc. Maybe if you and Tyler or somebody, if the team wants to send it out to us in an email to say, how does everyone think? When you identify it, sometimes everyone's head right now is kind of like worn out after 2 hours, but just kind of like, hey, how do y'all feel about this? Where do you sit? And just kind of see what everyone has to say, and just kind of almost like a survey way, and then we'll be able to proceed forward. To Julie's point, there's a lot to do in a short amount of time then, so I think that would be easier. I think I've at this point lost track of all questions.
Yeah, no, that's a good suggestion, Barb. Well, just a couple things that I want to announce. Some are already in the agenda. One, the council is going to be doing an equity assessment of our contracting and procurement in terms of outcomes, looking at our processes, procedures, our administration of our small business programs, really focusing on equitable outcomes in our contracting and procurement processes. And so we will be soliciting a third party to conduct that assessment. It certainly could be a DBE or anyone. So just kind of putting that out there, and we'll certainly communicate when that is advertised and posted. But I wanted to just let everyone know that was coming, and to share that throughout your networks. Also, some may know that the council does employ union trade outside of just our operators in ATU and bus. We employ mechanics, 49ers as well. So we do administer through our workforce development team that's led by Aaron Koski. We do partner with them and develop training programs and initiatives. I know that they have connections to our nonprofits and community-based organizations. We just wrapped up a recruitment and screening for the bus operator technician mechanics program. I think that's going to be 14 individuals are moving forward with that. So that is definitely exciting news. And we're always, someone talked about labor shortage. We are always recruiting and trying to identify, recruit bus operators, bus and train operators. And the council just approved a pay increase, starting pay increase, $26 an hour for operators. And the hiring bonus is $3,000 for those that do not have a CDL, and $5,000 for those who do have a CDL, and some other things that hopefully are going to make us more competitive in terms of attracting that talent and within our workforce as well. Any other announcements that folks want to share, please do so. All right, thank you. I know we are over a couple minutes, so thank you to those who could hang on and stay with us. And thank you for your valuable contributions and participation today. Our next meeting will be Thursday, November 17th, and will also be held virtually. Please stay connected via our construction updates, social media, and through the project website. And you can connect with me or Tyler as always. Thanks. Enjoy the weather this weekend. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Ashanti. Thank you, Tyler. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.